Hello, I'm Terry Taylor, and welcome to episode 3 of The Terry Taylor Show. Coming to you from the couch. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to focus a lot on Star Wars Rogue One and some other Star Wars news that's going to be coming out. We're also going to talk about the new Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out, Dunkirk, because last night they dropped a teaser, but we'll get into that. So anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming by today, and let's get right into it. For months, there has been talk about the reshoots for Rogue One, and everybody's freaking out about what this means for the film. And like I've said, if you saw my Suicide Squad episode, which will be my episode 1, reshoots are something that happens in big budget films. They're always planned for. There's always time allotted. And there's always money for the reshoots because that's where that's where they get to polish everything off. So for months now, it was speculated that Tony Gilroy was being brought in, that maybe Gareth Edwards had been removed entirely as director, and it was starting to sound very much like the drama that was going on with Fantastic Four, which we know what happened to that. The studio destroyed the Fantastic Four, as well as Josh Trank. His behavior got him removed from a future Star Wars movie. So let's not just point blame at one side of this. But regardless, they brought in Tony Gilroy, and it turns out the Hollywood Reporter has released information that Tony Gilroy has not taken over. Originally, it was speculated that he was brought in to revise the script, or that he was brought in to work on the screenplay. And so what really he's doing is he has been brought in to supervise the editing process with Gareth Edwards, which it's not that Gareth Edwards has been usurped. He's still there. They made a point of saying that he's still very much involved in the editing process. Now he's worked with Gilroy before, Gareth Edwards. They worked together on Godzilla, which I have to be honest, I have not seen Godzilla. So I'm not really sure how that turned out, but I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard that it starts off great and it ends great, and somewhere in the middle it gets a little fucked up. But it's good to see, where we talk about Suicide Squad yesterday, that there's multiple edits of the film and this, that, and the other thing. That doesn't seem to be what's happening here. It seems that there's one edit that's being worked on so far, and that it might not have been going in the direction that Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and all these people involved in Star Wars, Lucasfilm or whatever, really wanted it to go. It could have been that Gareth Edward was making like a Saving Private Ryan, like too gruesome, like Darth Vader's decapitating people, and there's guys in like trenches, like firing everywhere. It could have been a little bit too much. I always thought that it was always sold as it was going to be a war film, being Star Wars. Gareth Edwards says war is in the title. And the standalone films were a perfect place to do that because they step away from the saga. They don't have to be as lighthearted as the saga. That's why it is a Star Wars story. It is a side story. I'm a little concerned that we're this far along, and the only trailer that's been shown was a teaser at Star Wars Celebration. At this point, when we were coming up on The Force Awakens, we had already had all sorts of things that had come out. So there could be an issue. There could be some behind-the-scenes issues. I'm not on set, so I really don't know. The one thing that concerns me is, Tony Gilroy, obviously he has a relationship with Gareth Edwards, so it's cool that, whatever issues they had with maybe Gareth's vision of the film, they suggested bringing somebody else in. At least it's somebody that he's had a previous relationship with. I'm just concerned that, Tony Gilroy sitting at the editing desk in the suite, and Gareth Edwards is off in the corner like, I have ideas. I would hate to see the movie get taken away from him. considering how much he loves the project, and any of that featurette showed that he is still very much the face of this particular movie. It's concerning, but Gilroy has also worked he's written the Bourne films, he directed Legacy. He was nominated for an Oscar for a film he did with George Clooney, which the name of it's a name. The name is escaping me right now. But he was nominated for an Oscar for that. So he's obviously very capable. I'm wondering if they brought him in to add some of that, like are we bringing in Gilroy because we need that cantina scene, that standout moment, that Star Wars thing that people that need to be, that familiar thread that runs through Star Wars. Is that why he's there, to make sure that's happening? I mean, I guess we'll see when the movie is released. But it does concern me that there's no trailer yet, because there should be at this point a trailer. Now, granted, The Force Awakens was a completely different animal, because it had been it was basically the bringing back of Star Wars. It was bringing it back into the public, that we're back in business and we're going to be putting out Star Wars, and it's in good hands. So obviously we're not going to get the pomp and circumstance that we got with The Force Awakens, but it is concerning that we're already into August now, and this film comes out in December, and we haven't seen more. And there's all this talk about, it sounds like there might be a little bit of scrambling going on behind the scenes. But, it remains to be seen. Hopefully they drop their trailer. Maybe they're saving this trailer for something, whether it be the release of Pete's Dragon, which I believe is next week, or they, like I said, if they have some sort of ABC thing they're going to want us all to tune in for, or however they're going to do it. They're definitely going to drop it at some point, and, even if we wait until, October, and they drop it for football, if they have a great trailer for us, and then they, Mark Ellis said, actually, on Jedi Council on Collider, that if they have a great trailer for us, and they announce the tickets are going to be going on pre-sale, the next day or later that week, we may be in business and everything will be fine. But as of right now, I'm personally concerned that there's not a trailer out yet. There's only what they showed at Celebration, which is fine that they showed it just to the Celebration people. But that was now a few weeks ago, and that's starting to die down, all the hype from Celebration, and Comic-Con hype is sort of starting to die down. Whether or not they're going to wait for New York Comic-Con hype to die down as well before they release something, I mean, I guess we'll see. Which brings us on to, we were just talking about ABC. It's been said that ABC is in talks to do a Star Wars live-action series. Now, they've been talking about doing a live-action Star Wars series for years. Even before George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, he had an idea to do a live-action series, but it was never really fully developed. But it sounded like it was going to be like a darker sort of underworld of the Star Wars universe, dealing with bounty hunters and whatnot. And there was actually a game in development which sounded very similar to this, but that was scrapped. And then it was speculated that perhaps the idea of that game was going to become the new show. So, I mean, who knows? For me personally, I don't necessarily know that ABC is the right place to put Star Wars. I would much prefer to see it on something streaming like Netflix or Hulu. The thing is, Disney has just done a deal with Netflix that as of November, Disney's going to be putting all their stuff on Netflix streaming. So that would have been a great place where they could get really gritty with this underworld of Star Wars. That would have been awesome to see a series in that format, in the vein of like Daredevil, where they don't have all the constraints of television, where, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. The cuffs are off, the gloves are off, and you can do whatever you want in the Netflix universe. it's concerning me because I don't want to see a network version of a Star Wars live action series, but I understand why they would put it there. Obviously, Disney owns ABC, and ABC would get a larger audience for the property, which equals more money. Which is why I understand why they would be putting it on ABC. The thing is, they have to be safe on ABC to pull this off. They're going to have to put familiar characters in rather than expanding the Star Wars universe, which is what they should be doing. I feel like this is more of a shrinking of the universe, putting it on a network television show, because then we're going to have, whether it be Boba Fett or what Chewie or, somebody we're familiar with in the show to be a recognizable character, to bring in, the layman who may not be a complete Star Wars sweaty. Now, are they going to bring Filoni in to work on the show? Filoni is in charge of Rebels. And he did the Clone Wars as well, which the Clone Wars, after you get past the first couple of seasons, is actually very good. And Rogue One is a standout. It's completely, they're very true to the source material. They have a lot of respect for it. And Filoni in particular, which I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his own movie somewhere down the line. He loves the property. Obviously, it really shines through. So if he's working on this show, that could be something that could be interesting. It also could be that this show doesn't come for a long time, because they're so busy with the films right now that are coming out, with the books that are coming out in all the new canon, with all the comic books that are coming out. They could have. This could be something that could take several years to happen. Let's be realistic about this. But, with Star Wars, where there's money to be made, they make their money. One other thing, though, is that ABC they had Lost, which was a huge success. I think it was their most successful show of all time. And that was J.J. Abrams. And JJ is really he's really helped usher in this new era of Star Wars that we're living in now, and he's involved in production wise, producer credit wise, in the new films. And he said when he was doing the press for The Force Awakens, he was asked if he would be involved in a show, and he said yes, absolutely. If the writing and the story was done well, absolutely, he'd be involved. So it is interesting that JJ and ABC, all these things are sort of floating around in the same broth. So we'll see. I mean, this is something that could be quite a long ways away. But it's interesting that it's being talked about, and it's being talked about sort of openly. Anyway, that brings us, we're done talking about Star Wars for now. One thing I wanted to address, it was speculated that Alden Ehrenreich, the new Han Solo, might make a little appearance in Rogue One, because they were talking about the fact that they released publicly that the new Han Solo had been cast sort of around the same time that the reshoots for Rogue One started. So were they sort of writing him in so that would be an introduction to him? Plus, he's signed for a 3-movie deal with Disney and Lucasfilm, which, it doesn't mean he's going to have 3 standalone films. It means that they can use him 3 different times, whether it's a standalone film, whether he makes a cameo in this or something else. And, that's all up in the air, because they don't really know how the new they don't know if people are going to accept him as Han Solo yet until he's actually on screen. They have no idea how people are going to actually respond, because if people don't buy that he's Han Solo in the first 2 minutes that you are introduced to him, then it's over. It's over. The whole thing is done. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think that we'd be able to. I think he's a good enough actor where they'll be able to pull it off. I'm hoping anyway. I'm hoping. I really don't want to see this thing fall apart, because I love Star Wars very, very much, and it would pain me very much to see these decisions, which I'm not so hip on to begin with just sort of fail. Like, I wouldn't have an I told you so moment. I would just be like, damn, I was right. Because I really didn't need a Han Solo standalone film. I didn't, I feel like the universe is expansive enough where we can tell stories involving characters that we've never met before. Rogue One, I thought was a step in the right direction. I'm just hoping they're not fucking it up right now. Anyway, they've said Gareth Edward has come out and said that he's not going to be in the movie Alden Ehrenreich. He's not making a cameo, which I hope not, because that would be falling a little too close to A New Hope. And that's our first introduction to Han Solo, and that's the classic Han Solo. So if you start sticking the new Han Solo into that same time period and fucking around with that, you got to be real careful with that. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, let's deal with Alden Ehrenreich and his age and keep him as a younger Han Solo than the Han Solo we were even introduced to. That's my feelings on the thing. Anyway, moving on from Star Wars, let's talk about last night. The teaser trailer for the new Christopher Nolan film Dunkirk was dropped. Oh boy. Is this thing visually a powerful piece? I mean, it's very short. It's a war film. It takes place. I believe it's World War One era. Could be World War II. But you just hear, it's real brief. You see a bunch of bodies on the beach. You see all the troops lined up. You hear a little narrative going over, and then you hear the air raid siren. And as they all start giving their slowly looking over, and then they all just drop, and then that's the end of it. I mean, I literally just got goosebumps just thinking about this. I mean, Christopher Nolan is one of those directors who's he's in my top list. He's one of my favorites of all time. So I'm actually very, very excited to see Dunkirk. I can't wait to see what he's going to do with this. I can't wait to see what the story's going to be. I can't wait for whatever Christopher Nolan puts out a film. I may not even like that film in the first viewing. It may take me a few times of seeing it to actually fully grasp his vision. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I want to thank you for stopping by to episode 3. Drop us a line. Let us know what you think in the comments about the Rogue One reshoots, about ABC, about Dunkirk, about anything we've talked about new Han Solo. How do you feel about that? Do you want to see a new Han Solo movie? Because I could have done without it, but if you're going to give it to me, you gotta make it good. Anyway, drop us a line in the comment section. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Tell all your friends about me and, pimp me out, so to speak. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Terry the Loon. And I'll talk to you real soon. Next episode, I will be back after seeing Suicide Squad, so I will be back with my full review. Thanks very much, guys, for stopping by the couch. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.